Well, good sort of late morning, early afternoon, West Ham fans. Now, let's talk about Nicholas Fullkrug, shall we? So, I hope everybody's safe and well, firstly. I hope you're all safe and well. I hope you're staying safe. This morning, I spoke about more strategic thing around a potential partnership with a Swedish second division side, and got as many ABBA puns in as humanly possible. Mamma mia! It was here we go again. We're going to talk about Nicholas Fullkrug, who is the talk of the town. I mean, in theory, he's our only injured player we have at West Ham at the moment in terms of the first team squad, and there's sort of mixed reports about his potential return date, in that it was reported in Claret and Hugh that it was believed that he was sort of recovered necessarily, but it was match fitness he was sort of working on. And indeed, the likelihood was there was a slim chance of him making a brief cameo off the bench for the Spurs game, which is what we were led to be believed all the time, that the Spurs game was a potential return date target, and it would be, possibly off the bench anyway. Fortunately, I think Antonio wasn't involved in Jamaica's last international. He was on the bench as well for the previous one, so it seems that he's relatively fresh, which is good. And the belief was maybe he'd then more likely would be the Man United game next week, would be when you would see him to return to the matchday squad fully. However, our good friend, ex-WHU employee, has casted doubt on that. Significant doubt, in fact, in terms of when the player is due to return. With fear it could be weeks until we see Fullkrug back in a West Ham shirt. He was quoted in saying there are concerns emerging from the club this morning that German forward Nicholas Fullkrug could be out for even longer than first expected. The player was injured on his first international break, and since then and there's fears this absence could be going for another few weeks. It had been hoped he could be back for the Spurs game this weekend, but there is now doubt, now thought to be extremely unlikely, and the following Man United fixture is also doubtful, which is quite interesting indeed. I think there was reports, I think Gonzo reported on it, and various others, that he could still be in Germany or something like that. So we don't know. The fact is, we don't know. There's conflicting reports out there, but the sort of the main crux of the matter is he's unlikely to feature, I think, for the Spurs game. The Man United game, a different thing. This could all go. I mean, obviously, we've got the Julien Lopetegui press conference in a couple of hours' time. He will be asked about Nicholas Fullkrug, no doubt, being the only injured player we have. Obviously, we've got players returning back from international duty as well. We'll talk about some of our international horrors for a couple of our key players. We'll talk about Hammers headlines maybe later on, but it's the Fullkrug news is interesting because it does go a long line with what we've been suggesting, that West Ham are looking at bringing in a forward in January of a Fullkrug type role. Alexander Zoloff is the one who's probably most likely, with a potential loan deal with Atletico Madrid, having left Villarreal. A very successful season, previous season, for Villarreal, went through Atletico Madrid and hasn't really hit the ground running, hasn't really got much in the game, doesn't really suit the Diego Simeone style of football. Whereas you would probably liken Fullkrug to Zoloff a little bit in terms of attributes. So not necessarily like for like, but a similar type player. Indeed, 3-4 years younger. 3 years younger, I believe, than Nicholas. Also, it's been reported via West Ham's old scout Mick Brown that West Ham could be looking again at Phalanges Pavlidis, a guy he claimed we were scouting quite heavily when he was at AZ Alkmaar. Obviously, we played against him. He then moved to Benfica, I think he was. Obviously, had a starring role in Greece's win over England last week, and he was quoted in saying, when clubs think about bringing a striker, there are a few of those in the Premier League, and Pavlidis would be a worthwhile candidate. I know clubs have been having looks at him since he's moved to Benfica. I should have read that earlier. I'm surprised none of them made a move. None of them made a move when he left AZ. From what I know, the likes of West Ham are looking for a striker and have been looking at him before. I've also heard that the interest could still be there. Wouldn't be surprised to see their name in the running if he moves again. So again, it sort of adds weight to maybe the ex-WHU employees' take on it in terms of him being possibly injured for longer than believed. Obviously, the club are trying to manage this because there is embarrassment, I'd imagine, in terms of the frustration of maybe not securing maybe our number one target in the striking departments, regardless of the likelihood it was that Villa were going to sell or whatnot. That's always going to be thrown back at them. And decisions to take Fullkrug, who, for the last 3 or 4 years has been reasonably injury-free, to be fair, at all. He had a bit of problems in the early start, and that's why he was very much a late bloomer in terms of his professional career. But, he didn't really pull on a Germany shirt for until about 2 years ago, when he was well into his late 20s. So it's, again, it just adds, adds to the tapestry of West Ham and strikers. Just still can't get it right. Still can't get it right. This could all completely change. In a couple of hours' time, Lopetegui could come out and say, "No, he's all right. He's going to be on the bench, and he's on the bench at Spurs. Comes on, scores a winner." Well, the world changes again, but the likelihood of that, I think, is slim to none. By the sounds of it, both reports sort of say that Tottenham is a slim, unlikely chance, and I think it's more likely to be unlikely than slim. But anyway, we'll bring you not Nicholas Fullkrug press conference. That'd be amazing if he just turned up. The Julian Lopetegui press conference in a few hours' time. I'll debrief, we'll go through it, what he says. I hate him on Thursday, I'll be honest. I don't like having them on Thursday. They're pretty much a non-event in my eyes. So don't bother watching it on their YouTube channel, and I'll just give you the brief synopsis afterwards. Saves you about 20 minutes of your life. You don't have to go through all the ads as well on the YouTube feed. But anyway, until then, take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble, keep the faith. Come on, you bloody irons. Much love. Bye.